Tonight, an environmental mess could soon turn into a criminal case. Federal prosecutors are investigating the huge oil spill that's continuing to spread along the San Francisco Bay. And another even bigger oil spill near the Black Sea is being called an ecological catastrophe. I'm Katie Couric. Also tonight, they were adopted as children. Now they're grown up. And a new push is on to allow them to learn the identities of their birth parents. Breach of trust, government corruption caught on tape.
I sold my soul to the devil, though.
And a special kind of family sacrifice. Two parents, both in uniform.
He didn't know he has a mom.
This is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
Good evening, everyone. That massive oil spill in San Francisco Bay is growing, spoiling mile after mile of coastline and killing a lot of the wildlife. And tonight, Congress, the Coast Guard, and federal prosecutors are trying to determine who's to blame. It all began with when a container ship based in Asia struck the Bay Bridge last Wednesday. There was no major damage to the bridge, but tens of thousands of gallons of fuel oil spilled out of the ship. The ship and the crew are being detained. John Blackstone is there. John, what's the latest?
Well, Katie, just as the oil keeps spreading in San Francisco Bay, so do the questions about exactly what happened when that container ship ran into the Bay Bridge. Investigators are looking at the actions of both the ship's crew and the Coast Guard. Cleanup crews are scouring area beaches, picking up the sticky, toxic sludge that just keeps washing ashore. 25 beaches have been closed. More than 500 oil-covered birds have been picked up and brought in for cleaning. At least another 360 have been found dead. Even those that get a shampoo and dish detergent may not all survive.
Once the oil's in the water, our ability to prevent an ecological disaster is nil.
Crab fishermen may end up being victims of the spill, too. At San Francisco's Fisherman's Wharf, their crab pots are piled high, ready for a season that was supposed to begin this week. This should be getting ready to be out at work, right?
Yeah, go set it. But it ain't gonna happen, I don't think.
With so much oil in the water, crab season has been postponed, and it's big business on the bay.
The average big boats last year were catching 40, 50,000 pounds. You know, at $3 a pound, that's 150 grand.
The container ship with a 220-foot-long gash is awaiting repairs as investigators question its crew. Many in the region suspect the Coast Guard was too slow to react when the ship hit the bridge. The spill was first reported as just 140 gallons.
Had we known it was 58,000 gallons, we would have stopped the presses. We would have been doing a lot of things we were doing the next morning.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi promised a congressional investigation would examine the Coast Guard's supervision of navigation in the bay.
There's serious questions about what the relationship is to between the Coast Guard and these ships. Are they giving them advice or are they giving them orders?
Now, so far, some 18,000 gallons of the spilled oil have been picked up or just evaporated, but still that leaves about 40,000 gallons out there on the water and washing up on the shore. Katie?
And John, any idea how long it could take to clean it all up?
Katie, there's no estimates of that. In fact, the betting is that it will never all be cleaned up. This oil is now spread for miles up and down the bay and out up the Pacific coast as far as 30 miles. And this heavy oil persists in the environment for years.
John Blackstone in San Francisco. John, thank you. As bad as that spill is, there's one that is much worse in Russia. One official there calls it an ecological catastrophe. An oil tanker carrying more than 1 million gallons of fuel oil broke apart yesterday in a heavy storm near the Black Sea. Today, crews picked up big clumps of oil that washed ashore. Officials say more than 30,000 birds and countless fish were killed. 10 other ships sank or ran aground in the storm. At least 3 sailors were killed. Meanwhile, here at home, when adopted children grow up, should they be able to find their birth parents? 125,000 children are adopted in this country every year, and in most states, they're not permitted to learn the identity of their biological parents. A report released today by an adoption advocacy group argues open adoption is better for all concerned. Cynthia Bowers has more.
Alex Fleming is one of the faces of the debate. The 19-year-old from suburban Chicago was adopted as an infant, and although he loves his adopted mom, he still believes he has a right to know his birth mother.
I don't want to live life without knowing some actual things about really where I came from.
A few phone conversations in this picture are the closest he got, but even that's a lot closer than many other adopted Americans. That's because only 8 states allow adopted adults access to their birth and adoption records.
For years in this country, there's been an assumption privacy was in the best interest of the birth parents who give up their children and the families who adopt them. But this report suggests otherwise.
It found when states opened records, the number of adoptions did not drop, abortions did not rise, there were few unwanted intrusions, and 95% of birth parents said they were open to contact from their children.
This deprives the vast majority in order to serve the needs of a perceived small minority.
But not everyone in the adoption community agrees.
It doesn't make sense to have a mandatory one-size-fits-all approach. Rather, you have to have something that's based on mutual consent.
Adoption agency director Margaret Fleming says 20% of her mothers want their privacy. But as the adopted mother of 9 children, including Alex, she also understands their need to know.
I think all of us want to know our roots and want to know where we came from and perhaps look at a face that is related to us.
She was able to help Alex see a face, but wonders if she'll even be able to do that much for her younger ones. Cynthia Bowers, CBS News, Oak Park, Illinois.
Overseas, the crisis in Pakistan took another serious turn tonight. The government put opposition leader Benazir Bhutto under house arrest to prevent her from leading a cross-country march to protest the state of emergency there. Hundreds of police officers have surrounded the home where she's staying in Lahore. Meanwhile, in the Middle East, a huge rally ended in bloodshed today in Gaza. Hamas security forces fired randomly into a crowd of Fatah supporters who were marking the 3rd anniversary of Yasser Arafat's death. At least 7 people were killed in the most violent attack since Hamas seized control of Gaza in June. And it comes as Israel tries to punish Hamas for repeated rocket attacks. The Gaza borders are sealed, roads are closed, and yet supplies are getting through via secret tunnels along the border with Egypt. Few Western journalists have ever been inside them, but Elizabeth Palmer went deep beneath a virtual no man's land for this exclusive report.
At first glance, Gaza's southern border is a wasteland, battle-scarred, patrolled by Hamas, and separated from Egypt by a wall. But these ruins hide a secret, a subterranean maze that makes a mockery of Israel's efforts to seal Gaza off.
So this is sandbagged.
Veteran smugglers took CBS News down for an exclusive look.
This tunnel goes that way, straight under the desert, about 400 yards, and comes up again in Egypt. It's part of a whole labyrinth of tunnels here, and it's the mainline smuggling route for everything from explosives and people to cigarettes.
This tunnel's only about 2 feet in diameter, but it's a lifeline for the 1.5 million residents of Gaza who struggle to get basic supplies now that Israel has closed the roads.
How long did it take to make this tunnel?
From here down and all the way out, 3 months.
Who paid you to do it?
Somebody financed the digging at the beginning, and when the goods finally come through, we split the money between us.
United Nations staff estimate that fully 10% of goods coming into Gaza are now smuggled through the tunnels, including life-saving medicine.
So now that the borders are closed, how do you get the drugs you need?
Through the tunnels. People can get some of the medicine they need, but it's very expensive.
But it's not drugs or cigarettes that Israel's worried about. It's the security risk. Last year, Hamas tunneled into Israel and kidnapped a soldier, Gilad Shalit, who 18 months later is still a hostage. In that time, the Israelis have blown up over 30 tunnels. But, says Israeli intelligence, there are plenty more, funneling the weapons, explosives, and Iranian cash that Hamas needs to crush all opposition in Gaza. Elizabeth Palmer, CBS News, Gaza.
Turning to Iraq now, and another sign that violence there is decreasing. In October, insurgent rocket and mortar attacks fell to their lowest level in nearly 2 years. The U.S. military reported today there were 369 of those attacks last month. Rocket and mortar attacks peaked in June when there were more than 1,000. Back in this country, some astounding video of government corruption. Elected officials in Alaska caught on tape taking bribes. Bob Orr has the story and the pictures.
This is what it looks and sounds like when a politician sells his office. The man about to lean into the picture on the left is Pete Cott, the former Speaker of the Alaska House of Representatives.
You know what they say, Bill? The bigger you are,
the longer you fall.
The harder you fall.
This is not the State House floor, but a nearby Juneau hotel room where Cott cut crooked deals as the FBI watched with a tiny pinhole camera.
I had to get it done, so I had to come back and face this man right here.
This man was Bill Allen, former head of Vico, an oil services company that paid $400,000 in bribes to corrupt Alaska politicians. On this night, Allen, his business partner, and Cott are celebrating a favorable vote on an oil tax bill.
I sold my soul to the devil, though.
What'd you do? Now I own your
But I got it done, see, because I got to answer the big boy.
In a separate tape, Allen can be seen paying off another Alaska lawmaker, Vic Coring, who needed help with credit card debts. Now Coring, Cott, and Allen have all been convicted on numerous corruption charges. And other, even bigger political shoes could still drop. The FBI is also investigating longtime U.S. Senator, Republican Ted Stevens, and his son Ben, a former state senator who Allen says collected nearly $250,000 in payoffs. Neither has been charged, but federal agents this summer raided Senator Ted Stevens' house. And now some of those already caught by the surveillance cameras.
I had to cheat, steal, beg, borrow, and lie.
Well, that will stay in this room.
Are cooperating as the FBI digs deeper into the blatant graft that's roiled Alaska politics. Bob Orr, CBS News, Washington.
There is much more CBS News ahead. Up next, a dramatic turnaround in crime in a place that had been rising sharply. What made the difference? We'll tell you in a moment. There's some good news tonight about crime. You may recall that about a year ago, we reported that violent crime in America's mid-sized cities was up more than 9%, about 4 times the national average. Tonight, CBS News can tell you exclusively that in some of those cities, there's been a major turnaround. National correspondent Byron Pitts returned to Minneapolis to find out why.
Minneapolis Police, could I talk to you, please?
Weekdays, when most Minneapolis school children are preparing for school, Sergeant Ron Steenerson leads a team of police officers, sheriff deputies, and a parole officer looking for juvenile delinquents.
She said he hasn't been to school.
Kids with outstanding arrest warrants or long absences from school.
Say, young man, you got a warrant for your arrest. You're under arrest. I got to take you down to juvenile
court.
Yeah.
Man!
At this house, police arrested a 12-year-old boy.
What's the story on this kid?
12 years old. This relates to an assault in school.
12 years old. It's going on 9 o'clock here. Shouldn't he have been in school by now?
One would think so.
Minneapolis Police Chief Tim Dolan says going after the youngest of offenders has helped turn around the city's crime rate.
When we were here last year, violent crime, murder was up. What's happened in the past year?
Well, a big part of that was we looked at who was committing violent crimes in the city of Minneapolis. It was juveniles that were disproportionate. They were over 50%.
This new approach in Minneapolis has become a model for the nation. Police officers keeping track of troubled kids before they become hardened criminals. Last year, homicides in Minneapolis rose more than 20%. But this year, they're down almost 20%. And it's a trend seen nationwide. Places where homicide was once rising are now seeing their numbers drop. Cities like Sacramento, Houston, and Cincinnati.
Prevention is a key word for police. If they can prevent something from happening, there's one less offender, there's one less victim, and there's one kid who might make it.
Law enforcement expert Chuck Wexler calls it a return to good policing, combining hardline approaches like arrest with softer focuses on keeping kids in school and off the street.
Is that fair to police officers, though? I mean, to be a social worker, a teacher, a guidance counselor?
Some cops might want to be Dirty Harry and some cops might want to be Mother Teresa. In the final analysis, they got to be a little of both.
We don't know where he is right now.
For Sergeant Steenerson, it's a fine line he's willing to walk.
In the meantime, I'm going to see what I can find out about the school
Save a kid now or sacrifice another life later. Byron Pitts, CBS News, Minneapolis.
And this political note, Republican presidential contender Fred Thompson won the endorsement today of the National Right to Life Committee, a prominent anti-abortion rights group. While campaigning in Iowa, Thompson said he hopes Roe v. Wade is eventually overturned. Today is the federal observance of Veterans Day, a day for honoring the sacrifices of our armed forces. When both parents are in uniform, it is a special sacrifice. Here's Mark Strassman.
Dad, I said aches too.
Charles McCautry's a master sergeant, and in this house, a one-man army.
You're not no scared.
A single parent with 4 kids.
How's school going today, man?
From school pickups to doctor visits, he's it.
One down.
McCautry's done 1 tour in Iraq. Now it's his wife's turn. Captain Barbara McCautry, a nurse now in Baghdad. This family has spent only 8 months together in the last 3 years.
Happy birthday to you.
She wasn't home for Jordan's 2nd birthday. Not that he knows.
Go give Mama 5.
To little Jordan, anyone, even our CBS sound man, could be Mama.
Yeah, that's not Mama, man.
Basically, I mean, he didn't know he has a mom. And what sort of a impact does that have on you? It hurts me.
Today's U.S. military has roughly 80,000 families just like the McCautrys, husbands and wives, both in uniform. And for many of these families, multiple tours in Iraq involve tough choices.
Wow, you did a good job.
In Des Moines, Ruth and Brian Lurg loved the military, but loved their family more. In Iraq, they both served as Army captains. She was a nurse, he was a pilot. But these days, only son Owen wears a uniform. Both parents left the service haunted by one deployment memory, handing off Owen to be raised by his grandparents.
All I could do there was stand there and cry and just watch my little boy go away. And at that time, I had no idea when I was going to see him again. Are you hungry?
What the Lurgs now have, Charles McCautry still wants, a family's chance to share more moments.
Yeah!
So CBS News took a family video to Barbara McCautry at her post in a Baghdad hospital.
I'm amazed how big he is. I'm going to feel like a stranger when I get to the house.
She called on Jordan's 2nd birthday.
Say hi, Mama.
Hi, Jordan. Happy birthday.
His big day became her big gift. Listen.
You tell Mommy bye-bye.
Bye.
Say love you.
Bye. Love you.
Love you.
Love you. Just 2 words, but it's a start. Mark Strassman, CBS News, San Antonio.
And that is the CBS Evening News. I'm Katie Couric. Thank you for watching on this Veterans Day holiday. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
For news 24 hours a day, click on CBSNews.com. Brought to you in part by Crest White Strips Daily Multicare. This is the only 5-minute strip that brightens your smile in 3 ways, all with just 5 minutes a day. Crest White Strips Daily Multicare.